This AI workflow gets the data of the last 1 year and predicts the cash flow requirement for the next 90 days. Hello, e-commerce store owners. We built this automation for an e-commerce company in the US, and I thought it would be much nicer to create a YouTube tutorial based on a simplified version of the workflow we built for them, so that you guys can implement it for your store and not worry about accountant email coming to you and saying you need financing tomorrow. So let's begin. First, I will give you a brief overview of how this AI workflow works. Then I will teach you or show you each node one by one. Okay, let's begin. So the first thing is that it runs weekly. You can change that schedule. You can you can run it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever you want. Okay, and then it gets data from your bank account. We use JP Morgan Chase for this demo purpose. It gets data from a Shopify, Stripe, PayPal, and the amount of money you owe to a suppliers. Okay, then it uses GPT-5 for forecasting, and then it logs every single thing to Google Sheet. And if the amount or threshold or amount is lower than threshold amount, then you get an alert to your inbox that you need financing. So let's begin understanding each node one by one. So the first one is cron job. So it runs weekly. You can see the trigger interval is week, and it runs on every Friday. It runs every Friday at 8 a.m. Okay, you can, if you want to run it daily, just make it days and 8 a.m. It runs every day at 8 a.m. And then it gets the data from a bank account. We're using this JP Morgan Chase for this demo purpose because it's the same bank that a client used, and it is getting the data from the last 1 year. We used a code. We used coding here. From, you can see it's 9th of October 2024, and right now the date is 9th of October 2025 till yesterday. Okay, then it is fetching out from Shopify. You're using Shopify node, resource, get many, and again the order date that were created in the last 365 days. You can again see the date here, and we are getting these fields: ID, when was the order placed, what was the price, what was the currency, and what was the status. And status basically means any. We are fetching all the orders, not only cancel, close or open, basically all the orders. One thing to note in Shopify orders is that the Shopify gives 250 orders data in every 2 seconds. So if your store has many orders, let's say 1,000, 10,000 orders in the last 1 year, then you need to make sure to wait for some time, because this will take, or this node will take at least 2 to 3 minutes to fetch all the orders. The third thing is Stripe. We're getting all the payments in the last. Okay, I think we made a mistake here. I'm going to use regular expression here to get all the data in the last 365 days. You can also add, if you receive money via PayPal, you can also add PayPal node, or if you may receive money via Afterpay, Klarna, you can add those nodes. If you don't find those nodes, then you can simply add HTTP request and use the company's API key or API address to fetch all the data. And then we use this Google Sheet to fetch all the payments that are due to the suppliers or wholesalers. Now we are merging all this data into a single table so that we can process all the data. Now we are going to normalize data. Normalizing means we are going to make every data or every metric in the same format. The easiest example to understand is that you can see some websites write time as 8 a.m. Some website write it as just in 24 hours format 0800. Okay, so we need to make sure that every single metric or data is in the same format. Another example is that for this Chase Bank, JP Morgan Chase Bank, they write date as date, simply date. But Shopify write date as created at. So if we give this data with different format to AI forecasting tool, then it won't work. It won't understand it, which data belong to which category or which table. So we need to first normalize it. And for this, we are writing a code, JavaScript code here. You can see it is aggregating data from the bank transactions, from Shopify, from Stripe. If you use PayPal, you need to write data for PayPal also, Klarna also, Afterpay also, and suppliers. And here we are normalizing every single data based on this date. So it is creating a date variable. If it's not there in the bank, it is using created at as a date. And then we are fetching all the transaction descriptions here from bank, like payroll, rent, utility, tax, loan, equipment, marketing. And then we are calculating all the daily cash position for last 30 days. So actually I made a mistake here. It should be for last 365 days. The workflow we made for the client was taking account only last 30 days order. So we didn't change the code here. We just need to make some changes here to make sure we are taking last 365 days into account. And then we are initially dealing balance. If we set for this demo purpose, I set the balance $50,000. You can write the current account balance here. So whatever data we get from bank, it gets added to this current balance. Okay. Now we're using OpenAI model to forecast this data. You are seeing this. I'm using GPT-5 model. You can use GPT-5 Pro also, but I don't recommend using any weaker model so that you get the perfect data. And use the latest and most powerful model. It will cost you more in terms of API, but just by I guess less than $0.5. So this is the prompt. You are a financial analyst, AI specializing in the cash flow forecasting. You need to create 90 days cash flow forecast, and we are making three scenarios. Best case, when the revenue is 20, when revenue for the next time is 20% more than the revenue based on the historical revenue, and base case is that the revenue stays flat, and worst case, revenue is minus 20%. We can change if you want to best case for revenue 30%, just mention 30% here or 40%, whatever you want. Then you can mention key insights and recommendations, risk factor, suggested actions to optimize the cash position. So it takes all the. Let me show you once again. So based on this description, the OpenAI suggests you where you can spend more or where you should cut down the cost. And we are also considering seasonal patterns, day of the week patterns. Like for some stores, weekends are normally busier, weekdays are less busy. For some stores, weekdays are busier. And monthly trends. Some websites sell more during holiday season, December, and less during May, June, or summer season. And payment timing pattern, how many days it takes to get the money credited to our account. And outstanding receivables and payables, basically AP and AR. And one more thing, we are asking to provide all the output in JSON format. And right now we are parsing this JSON to this readable format. Okay. So if we are using two cases here. If JSON parses, then everything is good. If it does not parse, we are basically extrapolating the average the daily net sales of the last 90 days, and we are forecasting it for the next 90 days. And again, here we are creating three scenarios: best case scenario, base case, and worst case. I will tell you, I will show you every single thing. And then it computes risk, minimum cash, date, financing needed or not, basic or rough runway. Okay. So here we are parsing the JSON. Okay. And from here, if parsing fails, we are extrapolating the last 90 days data to forecast for next 90 days. Okay. And one more thing. So if the amount needed in your for the next 20 days is less than the amount in your bank account, then you get an email. And we have set $15,000 a threshold amount. So if the amount in your bank is less than 15,000, then you get an alert. You can change it to whatever you want. Let's say 100. If you want to make it 100,000, then you can make it 100,000. If you want to make it $1,000, then you can make it 1,000. Okay, you can set it whatever you want. And here we are feeding all this data or writing all this data to Google Sheet. You can mention the Google Sheet ID here. And here, uh, if the amount is less than threshold amount, then we are using if else statement. And if it's true, we're sending an alert. So you see, we are using JSON metrics requires financing as true. So requires financing. Yeah, see, if the amount is less than threshold, then it is true. And if as soon as it's true, we get an alert. One more thing I mentioned I forgot to tell is that I'm using a localhost amount. That's why you are seeing all this data grayed out. But when you run it on an server or your local server, you should see all this data in green color if everything's set up properly. So you can download this workflow from the description and implement it for your store. And if you want to customize it for your store and you want us to help you, or you are facing any issue and you want us to help you, then we can do so. The cost will be just $75 US dollars per hour. So just to give you a brief context, if we were to design this workflow from start to end, it would take around 5 hours. Basically, 2 hours of planning, what to add, what not to add, 2 hours of building, which includes writing these code also, and 1 hour of testing. So if we design this workflow for you, it will cost you around $75. Let me do the calculation into 5. Just $375. Uh, we charge this store around $1,200 because the workflow we made for them was much more complex and much more robust and was taking many more nodes to get the data. For example, the store was using 4 payment gateways: Stripe, PayPal, Klarna, and Afterpay, and was selling on 3 stores: Shopify, Amazon FBA, and eBay also. And they were using 2 banks, Chase and I guess Citibank. So that's why the more nodes we add, the more complex it becomes, and that's why we need to spend more time. And my email ID is popping up right now on the screen, and you can use this. You can find the email ID on description also. Thank you guys. So like this video if you want to see more these types of video, and subscribe to our channel.